What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Our Kind of People on Fox, you guys. This is season 1, this is episode 2, and the episode was titled My Mother, Myself. This was a good episode because we got a little deep into the storyline this episode. So before we get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not already subscribed to the channel, that means you guys to do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell button, light up every button on the channel, share the video, and with that out the way, you guys, let us discuss Our Kind of People. All right, you guys, so I do love this show and them talking about black hair. Love that story in the beginning where Ange was talking about how, you know, us as black people, we talk, just talking about the different hair textures, and then when the colonizers came and took our ancestors, brought them over here, shaved their heads, and then they grew their hair back and made their own stories. Love that, right? So this episode is 48 hours, or it starts 48 hours earlier. I don't know earlier than it said, but I didn't really catch it, right? So we see everyone is at church, right? And Aunt Piggy is a trip, right? Y'all know how the older women in church, they have like the butterscotch or whatever they have, right? So I don't know if Piggy had butterscotch or if she just had a, peppermint or whatever. But she was rustling and everybody turned around like, what's going on here, right? So Angela is looking at Leah. Angela's like, you know what? I just really want to tell her that I'm your sister. And I'm like, Angela, I think we might want to play this one a little close to the vest. Like, let's keep this secret just for a little bit longer. Let's use it to our advantage when it comes to the Franklin DuPont. That is, the Franklins and the DuPonts. So Piggy says that, Eve never dealt a drug a day in her life. So I didn't believe that to begin with. But, so then, they having a devotional, right? So then, afterwards, Tyrese came up to Angela, right? And they caught eyes in service. So he goes up to talk to her, right? So then Angela asked him about a contract. She needs a contractor, right? Because she wants to do some renovation over at Eve's Crown, right? So Tyrese is like, well, I'm your guy. And she was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, I'm your guy. She says, okay, got it. So then we see Mama Liv. Mama Liv is telling Leah that she needs to get a handle on that situation with Angela, right? She's just like her mother, not knowing a damn thing about this woman, right? And then she also says that Lauren's partying is out of control. That's why she needs to take care of Angela so they can get back to the matter of Lauren. So then Leah, she's talking to some women, right? One of them was named Macy. Can't remember what the other woman's name was. But they were talking, right? They were talking about how, they were basically congratulating Leah because it's so unexpected that Teddy is stepping down as chairman of Franklin, right? So Angela goes up to her and she basically like want to clear it, like, you and I, we got up on the wrong foot, and Leah said you called me a maid, and she was like, you brought up some shit about my Angela, like, you brought up shit about my mother, so touche, boo. Honestly, I would love for Angela just to slap Leah down a bit, because Leah looks down her nose at Angela. But now that you know what's what, ooh, can't really look down your nose. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, right, you guys? So let's move on. All right, you guys. So then we see Leah. So Leah admitted to Teddy. Oh, it's Wednesday, right? Is it Wednesday or is it Thursday? It's Wednesday. So Leah admitted to admitted to Raymond that she pushed her father out, right? Because she found out about some shady business dealings that he was doing. So that was her way of pushing him out of the company, right? So Raymond is like, you know what? I'm not really surprised that you did that. So then they're talking, right? So we found out a little bit more that I think Franklin did a buyout of Raymond's company, which is called Draymond or something like that. It's in my notes later in the episode and we'll talk about it. So at this point, Leah and Raymond are going to have sex, but with them having sex, that is basically their negotiation about what's going to happen with Franklin and what's going to happen with Raymond's company, right? So then we move back over to Angela. So Angela finally got the DNA test results. She told Piggy and Nikki that, when she went and got the wig from Leah, that she took a sample, a strand of the hair that was in there and matched it against her DNA. So she had Nikki read the results, and the results are conclusive that Angela and Leah are both sisters, right? They share the same father. So Piggy was like, that don't prove shit. And she was like, because Leah was like, not Leah, but Angela was like, that's proof. Piggy was like, that doesn't prove shit, girl. Like, it proves nothing. So Angela says she needs more evidence, and once she gets into the Franklin Small Business Incubator, she can do that. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's going to work. I'm like, I don't really think that's going to work the way that you want it to work. Like, you got to, like I said about a lot of, what show was that? Where you got to have a plan? Oh, with Power about Kanan. You got to have a plan A and a plan B. Right now, Ange only has plan A, and plan A is to get into the Franklin Small Business Incubator. What if they clock you? Like, you got to come up with a secondary plan, because, I mean, it can happen, right? So Piggy tells Angela, first of all, Leah is not going to go for that. She says, but Raymond might. I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. So then we see Raymond. So Raymond is talking to his business partner. I guess it's his business partner by the name of Jack, right? So he's telling him that they're going to get Darman back. That's the name of it. And he says, what about Teddy? He says Teddy is a non-issue at this point, right? So we found out a little bit more about them too. So those two are raised up with each other, right? And the company Darman, it was created by both of their great grandfathers. They merged, the DuPont and I forgot what the other family's name was, but they merged their names to create the company, right? So we're going to pause here and we're going to move forward. All right, you guys. So then we see, as everyone, they're at Franklin and they're in the boardroom, right? And it's the women, right? For the Gray Cities. So they are making bouquets, right? Leah loves to take a crap shot at Angela all the time. Like, she loves to take a shot at her, and she's taking a shot at her about her bouquet. So then, Angela comes up with the idea to rename, comes up with the idea for the name for the banquet, right? It was actually a really good name. But Ms. Leah Franklin DuPont is not going to let that fly, right? So she's going to have to come up with her own little name for it, bitch. Sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to call her. All right, you guys. Sorry. The camera cut off. So, where are we at? I was talking about Leah. I know I was, right? Yeah. So the ladies, they're all like, oh yeah, Leah, that's so great. That is good, Leah. Ass kisses. So, then Lauren brought her hungover ass in there, right? So Leah goes up to talk to her. She says her behavior is unacceptable, right? So then Leah's talking about her photo shoot with Forbes and how she wants her to be there so that they can talk, right? So Lauren says that there are things about her that she might not necessarily like, right? So then Lauren got sick. I'm thinking in my head, right? I'm thinking about something that came up later in the episode. So Lauren got sick. She went to the bathroom, left her phone there, and on her phone it was open. I'm like, your phone is open with you? Okay, I guess. So Leah took her phone and she started going through her camera roll, and you can see the photos of her and Taylor, right? And they look very lovey-dovey in the photos, right? So then we see Ange, right? I got ahead of myself, right? I got ahead of myself talking about the name change. So we've already discussed that. So the other woman that was with Macy, her name is Tracy. So Leah told Tracy to make a special delivery to her mother Rose, right? And Tracy was like, but Leah, I got this. My son has riding lessons. Leah walked out that door like she didn't give a shit. Actually, she didn't give a shit. So, Andrew's like, you know what, Tracy? Don't worry about it, girlfriend. I got it. But you owe me one. So then we see Angela as she's in the hallway and she passes Raymond, right? And she talks to him about this, the Franklin Small Business Incubator Program once again, right? He says that he saw her application, but He wants to know what would excite the committee, basically, to let them know that she's on the map. So she was like, I have to be on the map to get on the map. And he says, you know what? I'll have my team review the application. She says, okay. So then we see Angela as she went to go visit Rose. So when she walked into Rose's room, Rose says, she says to her, the little bitch came to visit. Hello, Leah. I'm like, oh, Mama must either have dementia or Alzheimer's, one of the two, right? So then Angela starts talking to her about this Grey Cities and Kingship ball that they had back in 1984, right? So at that time, Rose and both Teddy were inducted. So she was inducted into the Grey Cities and he was inducted into the Kingship, right? So then she mentioned, then somehow she mentions Eve, she brings up Eve, right? And she was like, your father sent you here to torture me with that, right? So Angela played that off, right? So then what happened is we find out a little bit more about, Eve. So Eve had worked for, actually Eve, Rose said that she and Eve were friends and that she had worked for her for 2 years, right? But then she told Teddy that if you lay with, damn, and the way that she said it, it's like, girl, you talking about a dog. You lay with dogs and you get fleas. I'm like, well, damn, but instead he got a bastard. I was like, oh, damn. So then she says, Eve wasn't fit to even run that. She wasn't fit to run the business no more than she was fit to be a mother. And Angela's like, you don't know nothing about her. She says, oh, yes, I do. She says she gave up her daughter, her baby, for $50,000. I'm like, damn. 50 G's? You gave up your child? We'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's move on. All right, you guys. So we see Ann. She's back at the house, right? And she's trying to get information on when she and her mother were released from the hospital. So then Tyreek is there, and he comes in. He shows Ann the sketches that he's made, right? So then he asks her to dinner, and she says, "Well, I'm going to a party tonight." And she says, if you want to join me, come on, and I'll come pick you up, right? So then he tells her about this room that's hidden behind the staircase, right? So they knock it down, and then they find some of her mother's things in there. So then we see Leah. Leah's doing her photo shoot, right? So she talks to Lauren, and she's telling Lauren about, how it feels to basically come out of the shadows of her father. And I'm like, I'm like, the way Leah is talking to Lauren, you would think that she's telling her it's okay to come out. But I'm like, I don't buy that, right? So then Teddy shows up, right? And Leah was like, let me talk to your grandfather real quick, right? So Teddy says he was calling down there to give an interview on behalf of her, right? So they're having a conversation with each other. In the midst of this conversation, Leah informed Teddy that she remembered a night when they went to Boston. She saw this girl that was maybe 2 or 3 years older than her. And I was like, oh shit, so you and Ange both remember the same night in question. So y'all locked eyes with each other. I'm like, okay. So then we see Ange. So Ange is still trying to get more information about the night, about when she and her mother were released from the hospital. So then Leah and Lauren's tacky asses just walk they happy asses into her house. I'm like, oh wow, y'all are bold as the fuck. Absolutely not. I would have beat both of y'all asses and called the cops and said they were trespassing. So Angela says to Taylor that, she heard that Nikki is stable. She's like, how do you know that? She says, well, Nikki's been visiting her. She says Nikki's been visiting Taylor. Little girl, I don't think you have anything to worry about, right? So then, in the midst of that conversation, Leah mentions the photos that she saw about Taylor and Lauren, right? About how they looked in the photos. She's like, it looks like I love her. She's like, she didn't say nothing. And she was like, she can't support that. I'm like, damn, your daughter you can't support the fact that your daughter is who she is. Now, Leah, you's jacked up for that one, right? But Ange gave her some good advice, right? She told her basically, be careful about the next thing that you say to her, right? So then they left. So then Eve got a phone call about what happened, when she was released from the hospital, right? So she goes to Piggy and tell her that some woman by the name of Deborah Ann Washington checked her out, and Piggy says it was only for 6 months. I'm like, 6 months? 6 months old, your child recognizes it. Your child at that point has built a bond with you. They recognize you. Damn, 6 months. Jesus Christ, that is terrible, right? So Piggy said that, she did it because she wanted to do right by Angela. And at that time, Teddy wasn't returning any of her phone calls. Work had dried up. So the woman gave her the $50,000, right? But she couldn't sign the papers, and she went back and got Angela. She was like, but she kept the money. She says, no, she didn't keep the money. I had already spent that money because I had gotten myself into some trouble. So your mother had to work for that woman she had to work for that woman, basically, to pay her back. I'm like, damn, that's terrible, right? So we're going to keep talking. So Angela left. She came back, and she didn't apologize to Piggy, right? But she's still dead set on getting in with the Franklins. I'm like, could that be to your own detriment, though? That's my whole thing. Could that be to your own detriment, right? So Piggy basically told her, either you spread your mother's ashes, or I'm gonna do it my damn self, right? So then we get to the party, right? Angela has invited this woman from Boston by the name of Birdie, who was portrayed by Cassie Davis. Hilarious. So Angela got her product mentioned in Forbes. Actually, when they were at the photo shoot, Leah noticed her bottom. She's like, this woman is every damn where. So Raymond comes up to talk to her, and he says that, he'll have his office contact her to set up an interview with her. All right, so we're going to move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. So at the party, this is hilarious. So Quincy went up to, what's her name? Nikki, trying to talk to her, and Piggy was like, kissing cousins, that's kind of frowned upon, right? So she's like, you know what? We can just be friends at this point. So then Lauren comes up saying, you told my mother about me and Taylor. Nikki was like, I ain't told your mother shit about you. And I'm like, your mama saw the photos, and you told your mama about you and Taylor. Girl, what? So she was like, yeah, you could be just like your grandmother, and you served me. And little Nikki was about to let her ass have it, but like, look her, girl, I'm just like you. She almost told her, but then Ange came and got her and stopped her. So as they're getting ready to honor Leah, Teddy got up on the podium, got up there on the stage, and basically said, hey, my daughter told you guys I was retiring. Guess what? He's not retiring. I was like, oh shit. So then backstage, he tells her, if you try to take me down, then you should have read the paper, the shell company that you found. You should have read a little bit deeper into it, because if you take me down, you're going to be taking your husband down as well. I'm like, oh shit. So Ange was looking at Teddy the whole time, and she just couldn't say anything. She froze. And then Tyreek came up behind her, trying to see if she was okay. She said, leave her alone. Ran out to the beach and threw up, right? So then we see Raymond. So Raymond is mad at Leah at this point, right? And Leah says to Raymond that she made a very rash decision about giving him Darman back, right? Because she didn't really smooth this over with the board. So she tells him, just be patient with me, work with me, let me go through the proper channels to get it taken care of, right? He tells her, you do realize that Teddy is never going to let you run Franklin. And then Jack comes in after they had their little conversation with each other, right? When Jack came in, Jack was trying to smooth things over between, I'm going to use air quotes. He was trying to smooth things over. Then out of nowhere, they kissed each other. I'm like, when he walked in, I figured, I'm like, when he walked in, I figured it out. I'm like, these two have to be having an affair with each other, right? Because the chemistry was there, and you can see it in their body language. I'm like, they got to be having an affair. So they kissed. When they kissed, Lauren walked in. Lauren ran out and called her a hypocrite, which you really are a hypocrite. You don't want to support your daughter's lifestyle about being, who she is, being a lesbian, or even she could be a lesbian, she could be pan, whatever Lauren is. You don't want to support lesbian, bi, pan, whatever she is. You don't want to support that. But then here you are having an inappropriate relationship with your husband's friend. Okay. So she walked out. Raymond was trying to see what was wrong with her, right? So then the cops come in. The cops come in to arrest will take Lauren down to the station to question her, because at this point Taylor has woke up, and Taylor says that it wasn't an accident what happened to her, and that Lauren is the one that pushed her. Now, mind you, earlier in the episode, Lauren was so rude to Nikki, right? So at this point, she wants to say, but Nikki, you were there, you saw it. Nikki was like, I ain't see shit. I'm like, exactly. Like, girl, keep it to yourself. Actually, let's go ahead and wrap up the episode. So then we see Angela. So remember, I told you the guys, and Angela told Tyreek to basically leave her the hell alone. So she's at his place. She apologizes to him, right? And then he says, I don't know what I'm feeling, right? Like, 1 minute I feel like you like me, but then the next minute I see you running after Teddy Franklin. Like, is there something going on between you two? She's like, no, it was just business, right? So then she was talking about the way that he was on stage, talking about Leah as if he loves her. She says he does love her. That's his daughter. And she was about to say, at this point, she's very emotional, and she was about to say that she's his daughter as well, and he doesn't give a shit. It doesn't look like he gave a shit about her growing up, right? But she caught herself, and she changed it, right? She just said that she just found out who her father was, and she doesn't know what that feels like, right? So then Tyreek lets us know a little bit more about him, right? He lets us know that his father died in the line of duty, and that his father and Teddy were like super close, and they were down for each other. They would basically, they would take a bullet for the other person, right? So when Tyreek's father passed away, he said that Teddy basically stepped up and was there for him, and she was like, "Ain't that about a bitch? You can't take care of your own kid, but you can take care of someone else's kid." She was about to say that too, but she didn't. So then at the end of the episode, we see Teddy. So Teddy and Leah, they're in his office, right? She wants someone on this case with Lauren, right? He's really at this point not so worried about that. He's worried about Angela, because he tells her the memory that you had of Boston, very much true. He was there to end his relationship with Eve, so that he was coming back to be with his family, which was Rose and Leah. And then he also tells her that Angela is in fact her sister. So what he wants to do is he wants to play a game of a game of chess with Angela. Angela, that's why I said you gotta have a plan A and a plan B. Stay two steps ahead of your enemy. And that's the end of the review, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified when I drop anything else, and share the video. Until the next one, you guys stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.